What's up, guys? We're back for some more Stray Kids today. We're going to be checking out their intro video for Rockstar. And if you've been here before, you know what I do here. I look at all different types of people's communication skills, including the Stray Kids. I've been following Stray Kids now for over 2 years, and I've been looking at all different types of content, giving you my thoughts on their personalities, their communication skills, their communication style, what I think about them as people. I'm filming this, by the way, on a Thursday, the day before the Rockstar album is dropped. So by the time I actually put this out on YouTube, you're watching this right now, you've probably listened to the album. Either way, I look forward to hearing what these guys have to say, and I look forward to giving you my thoughts.
폭풍이 휘몰아치는 느낌. 무대 위에 작은 거인이라고 할 수 있을까요? 전 락스타예요. 끝까지 즐겨보자고. 2023년 락으로 세상을 강탈.
Right in that first second, I'm noticing a difference in Hyunjin's confidence. The first time I saw Hyunjin on video until now, like this very second, to me there's a big difference in his demeanor. There's a difference in his openness and his expressiveness and just his willingness to articulate himself. Maybe things are a little different because they're in the studio and they're talking about music. I don't know. I have to look a little bit more, but there just seems to be a big difference in his openness.
승민이 정말 락스타 같아요. 그냥 일상, 평상시에도 되게 락스타 같아요.
성격 같은 거나 분위기 같은 거나 굉장히 뭔가 부들부들한 느낌일 것 같은데 저의 1차원적인 상상을 깨버린 최초의 인물이었어요, 승민이가. 생각보다 굉장히 자유로운 영혼이고
That's interesting that they say that about Seungmin, how he's kind of like the true rock star. I've said this before, I think Seungmin, out of all the guys, is going to kind of give it to you straight. I don't think he beats around the bush. Although Han's saying he kind of has like a soft sort of demeanor or a soft sort of outside. Not to say he's a hard guy, but he's going to be direct with you at times. He's also just smart. He sees people. He understands people. And I think there's a wisdom about him when he's watching people.
그냥 장르가 뭔가 다른 것 같아요. 파이스타는 진짜 그래 우리 각 잡고 우리의 파이브스타적인 노력을 보여주겠다 하면은 락스타는 이제 그래 그냥 우리 모습 그대로 이 프리한 모습, 이 자유로운 모습 그대로 보여주겠다. 약간 이런 느낌인 것 같아요.
Yeah, I still feel like I don't really know Bang Chan's full, real personality. Sometimes I'm not sure when he's sort of in performing mode and putting it on for the camera. I can tell he's sort of energized by talking about this. Like he gets energized. I just don't know. Sometimes I feel like he puts on the smile without actually necessarily being happy. I think he just kind of does it maybe to remain strong or to sort of appear strong. Like I don't know what his genuine personality is.
우주라는 게 계속 커지고 있다는 거 알고 있잖아요. 우주가 계속 커져가는 그런 모습들이 스트레이키즈 모습이지 않을까. 저희의 음악 스펙트럼, 저희 음악의 우주도 계속 커져가고 있다라는 그런 마인드로 그런 메시지를 전하고 싶었습니다.
I really do appreciate how he is communicating this message to us. He is really good at communicating their message to the wider audience in a way that's easy to understand. And that's not necessarily something that's easy to do for a guy who's very much in the weeds of the music making. So I think that's part of his intelligence, like his ability to really kind of get extremely detail oriented, but also kind of zoom out and be able to articulate this message in this simplified way to the world. I think he makes an effort to communicate in this more positive way. I think he makes an effort to be cheerful and positive and give off a certain vibe.
뭔가 여러 장르를 합친 그런 믹스팝 같은 느낌 그리고 중독성을 굉장히 강조한 곡이라면 이번 락은 뭔가 일단 흐름이 있고 그리고 저희의 새로운 에너지와 무대를 휘어잡을 수 있는 그런 분위기를 가지고 있는 곡입니다.
Yeah, the tone of this interview and the tone of this video is pretty serious so far. You know, I actually think Bang Chan is lightening up the mood the most. You know, even Han. I haven't seen a Han joke yet. And obviously it is serious. This is something they take seriously. And I think that's sort of the vibe that they're putting out to the world, and at least that I'm receiving, is these are a group of guys who take their music very seriously. And all of them are very involved in the music making process. They all have their opinions about the music. They all have what seem to be pretty deep opinions about the music and the structure of the songs and how the album's coming together. And that's the overall kind of message that I'm receiving is these guys really care about their music. More than that, they care about, you know, how the world perceives their music.
선택하게 되는 그런 감정이나 이런 게 좀 락이었으면 좋겠다. 즐거움이었으면 좋겠다. 라는 그런 마음에서 그런 취지로 만들게 된 곡이었던 것 같아요. 네. 살면서 꼭 가져야 되는 감정이지만 이 노래만큼은 들으면서 락이라는 그 감정에 집중해서 개인적으로 스테이가 굉장히 많이 따라 부를 것 같아요.
That's kind of cool, just like when you're making the song, thinking about like, how is it going to sound to the audience? They probably think about how it's going to sound in a car, you know, how it's going to sound at a concert, how it's going to sound when people are singing the lyrics, what kind of energy it's going to give them, what kind of emotion is it going to evoke. There's a lot of thought that goes into it from many different perspectives. And I think when we watch this video, we get to see that. We get to see, you know, how thoughtful they are about their music. I think as an audience, we appreciate it that much more when we hear a guy like Changbin talk about how it's going to be received and how it's going to be sung. Like hearing them speak about the process, the thought process that goes into making this music just makes you appreciate it so much more.
Cause We Will을 원래 거를 쓰고 메이크부터 진성으로 들어가는 걸로 제가 한번 자연스럽게 거기 펀칭 한 2번만 해봐도 돼요?
그러면 will부터 받을게 그러면.
Yes, yes. 의견인데 락에 지금 비브라토를 제가 주잖아요.
없어도 돼.
비브라토를 없애고 좀 터프하게 끝내볼까요?
Like to me, I look at Seungmin as a guy who's very, very confident. Like I think Changbin comes off as like the most outwardly confident in the group, but I think to me Seungmin might be maybe like the most internally confident. It's funny just that juxtaposition in his character and his personality. You know, when he speaks, it's soft. So it's almost like deceptive when he comes at you direct because you're like, whoa, where did that come from? He doesn't often like project his voice very loudly. I think there's a real comfort in that. I think there's a real confidence in that. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone.
그리고 이번 퍼포먼스는 저희가 참여를 좀 많이 했어요. 이 특보다 더 잘 나와야 된다는 그 무게 때문인지 몰라도 제가 이제 퍼포먼스적인 부분에서 시안 영상 짜집기 하고 편집하고 했던 역할을 했었는데 8명 모두의 의견을 다 받고 멤버 8명에서 다 같이 회의를 처음 했던 노래이고.
I like that. I just like how they're all involved. It just makes it so much more fun. It makes the more they're involved in the decision-making process, the more they're involved with their music. I think just like the more they're bought into Stray Kids as a whole. And I think that works with the majority of people within a company. When you sort of like buy into the vision, sort of have say in some of the key decision-making processes of where that company or organization goes, you're going to be a lot more committed to that company or organization. The more that these guys feel kind of empowered with decision-making opportunities, and each one of them really has like a real impact on, you know, where their music goes and how it sounds, that's only going to make them more committed to being a part of Stray Kids and make them feel more intricately involved.
지금까지는 저희가 뭔가 진짜 포인트가 되는 뚜뚜뚜뚜뚜뚜 매니아 포인트가 되는 게 무언가 있었는데 이번 거는 그냥 락이라는 그 퍼포먼스 자체 하나가 포인트가 돼서 여러분들에게 덩어리를 던지는 느낌 이라고 하면 좀 설명이 될까요? 좀 이해를 하실까요?
Yeah, I don't think Lee No likes being serious. You know what I mean? There's like a lightness and a playfulness to him that seems like pretty consistent. I just think he prefers being in that space. He just wants to have fun, but he also wants to have fun with you. So he kind of puts himself out there and lets you know that he's ready to have some fun. He sort of initiates the fun through the way he communicates. Like he initiates the fun, and he has this really great way and really kind of easy way of letting people know around him that he's down to have fun. I think in a lot of ways he's the facilitator of mischief and fun in the group. You know, part of him wanting to have fun, maybe there's a little bit of a defense or a mask of not wanting to go to a certain place within him. But I also just think, you know, that's just part of his personality.
그게 되게 신기했던 게 많은 댄서분들이 계시는데 다 같이 춤추고 있는데 근데 이걸 어떻게 다 찍냐 그런 생각을 했다가 어떤 유명한 그 드론 감독님 이제 계셔가지고 그냥 이렇게 드론 날리고
Felix, I think he kind of slows everything down for me. Like there's just sort of a real calming effect that he has, I think, on his audience. Me in particular, at least. I think depending on your mood, there's certain guys that people probably gravitate toward. And when you're feeling like you need a sense of calm and comfort, I think Felix is a great choice for that.
어떤 상태에서 들어도 좋은 곡이라고 생각을 해요. 기쁠 때 들으면은 와, 씨, 미쳤네. 막 나도 막 이렇게 하는데 슬플 때 들으면은 아, 슬픈데. 근데 재밌네. 나도 신나지. 왜 내가 리듬을 타고 있지? 이렇게 되는 노래가 아닐까.
See, we saw a little bit of a glimpse of Lino's weirdness just there, you know? He has a thought and it's a little odd. He'll indulge in that thought and he'll kind of take us on his little like weird story.
아, 슬픈데. 근데 재밌네.
And I appreciate that. Like that's sort of the quirkiness and the spontaneity that I was talking about in Lino. You know, he'll have these kind of random things come up and he expresses them. He kind of like gets into the story, like kind of gets into his character, his kind of like weird character. He embraces that weird sort of side of himself. All the more reason I can see him and Han and understand why him and Han have this real close connection, because Han's kind of like that too. You know, Han's even more random and his mind, I feel like, goes to even more eccentric places. I feel like his attention span is probably like half of Lino's, but the similarities are in that they kind of like embrace those spontaneous parts of their brain, and they take themselves just very easily and happily to those quirky, weird places.
제가 그런 부분들이 잘 안 돼서 그런 노래만 찾아서 연습을 했었거든요. 근데 이번 사각지대를 통해서 뭔가 그런 부분에 잘 부를 수 있었던 것 같아서 굉장히 뿌듯했고.
Good for Ian. Good for him. And it's cool to hear him say that he's proud of himself. And it sounds like, you know, this experience has been sort of a real learning for him, has been a period of growth for him. You know, there's something to be said about working hard on something, accomplishing something, and then as a result being proud of that hard work and that accomplishment. I think that helps build real confidence, especially if you acknowledge the hard work and the accomplishment. It's like, wow, I did that. And it sounds like Ian is, you know, acutely aware of that.
그런 생각이 가장 많이 들어간 게 컴플렉스였던 것 같아요. 스키즈의 보컬이기 때문에 부를 수 있는 노래가 컴플렉스인 것 같아서 저는 컴플렉스 부를 때 락이었어요. 즐거웠습니다.
So it sounds like they give each other room and space to kind of add their own unique flavor to the songs. There's just such a uniqueness about Stray Kids and their music. Like just from, again, like I said earlier, the structure of their songs and the sound of their songs, but even to words like complex, like they really kind of make it theirs. They make it their own, and they're bold in a sense. They really do take chances, and they really do march to the beat of their own drum.
현진이의 외로운 어떤 하루에 아주 좋은 영감을 받아서 듣는 사람들한테도 굉장히 많이 좋게 와닿을 것 같은 멋있는 곡이 감정선들을 다 생각을 해서 이렇게 쭉 끌어놨던 것 같아요.
You're really seeing a next level of sincerity with Seungmin here. I mean, they take their music very seriously. Like this is like it's almost like a spiritual experience for them in a sense. There's a sort of like a real vulnerability when they're creating music. It's more than just making a song that sounds good. Like I think this music means a whole lot to them. It's very close to their hearts. And I think that's what's contributing to the more kind of serious tone that I'm sensing in this video, in this interview. You know, yeah, there's lightness to some of it, and there's obviously a lot of happiness that they get from making music and talking about their music, but there's real emotions involved for them, you know? I'm gonna check out this album. And for those of you in my Patreon community, let's do that. Let's check this album out. Very cool.
릭스의 목소리를 굉장히 좋아하고 릭스가 노래 부르는 목소리를 너무 좋아해서 이번에도 인트로 부분이랑 좀 멜로디컬한 부분들을 많이 부탁을 했었는데 윤복이가 잘 살려줬죠. 원래 하니 파트도 마지막 훅은 가성이었는데 제가
Yeah, perhaps some of the confidence that I'm seeing from Hyunjin is from him being more involved in the music. Maybe that's kind of given him more confidence. Maybe that's given him more of a reason to feel like he can speak more confidently about the group and about what they do. It's always easier to talk about something that you're very intricately involved with and that you're especially interested in, right? You see the passion from certain people when they talk about certain things. Think about something that you're interested in. It's much more easy to communicate that than something that you're, ambivalent about or not interested in. So I think with Hyunjin, we're seeing something that he's very much interested in, and I think that's reflective of what we're seeing in his confidence when communicating.
넷플릭스 드디어 이게 찍게 되었죠. 근데 사실 그 대본을 딱 보고서 이제 멤버들 힘들어했죠. 긴장을 했던 멤버들도 있었던 것 같고 멤버들이 대사를 치면서 하는 그런 게 또 많지 않잖아요. 저희가 그래서 옆에서 같이 촬영을 하면서도 되게 재밌게 봤고
아 이거 어떻게 해야 되지? 되게 어색.
Like I really do like Changbin's sense of humor. Like he's really fun. He's always been one of my favorites for a lot of different reasons. He's comforting and he wants to have your back. But on top of that, what I'm getting at here is although he's serious and you can tell like he's really into the music and he knows his stuff and he enjoys talking about it, there's still a humor to him. There's still a lightness to him. There's still a warmth to him. And even when he's communicating in this more serious way, you can feel it.
하면서도 멤버들도 떠오르더라고요. 멤버들도 나랑 같은 마음이겠다라는 생각으로 이렇게 썼는데 그냥 첫 가사부터 그런 것 같아요. 그냥 gave up my youth for my future라는 그 문장 자체가 막 울컥하게 되더라고요.
There you go. I think that's sort of what I was in part referring to with Bang Chan earlier. Like I don't know what his genuine personality is. Perhaps his youth in a sense being filled with responsibility and kind of taken from him. Perhaps that has taken away from him getting to know himself and being connected to that child in him that he hasn't really had a chance to express. So maybe he's like searching for ways to do that. Perhaps it's a little bit more difficult for him because he never had that opportunity to kind of live out his youth. He was working. And he's also been a big brother to these guys. It's not surprising that that sentence kind of hit home for him.
앞으로 제 욕심이 있다면 앞으로 좀 더 많은 팬분들과 함께 공연을 하고 싶고 또 많은 팬분들께서 저희 음악을 더 많이 들어주셨으면 좋겠고 더 많이 인정받고 싶고 저희 스테이한테 막 칭찬받고 이런 거 되게 좋아하거든요.
For me, the sense I get with Hyunjin is he just puts 100% into everything he does. Like when he gets his sort of like tentacles into something, he's very much 1,000% into that thing. It feels like it kind of consumes him. And then you can see the sensitivity in him. Like he's just like a deeply sensitive person. I think it might be a little bit harder for him to open himself up to the world because he feels so deeply.
많이 얘기했지만 저는 언제가 가장 즐겁고 행복하냐 물어보시면 저는 제가 노래를 하고 들어주신 분들이 많이 공감을 해주실 때 그럴 때 제일 즐겁고 행복하고 성취감 있고 그런 것 같아요.
I talk about this all the time on this channel, like the importance of connection, and that's what Seungmin's saying. That's when I sometimes feel the happiest is when people can relate to my song. There's something beautiful about feeling like people understand you, feeling like people can relate to you, especially if you're putting your heart and soul into your music and this is like who you are, and you're speaking your truth, and if people can connect with that, that's an unbelievable feeling.
즐거움을 얻는 것 같아요. 가장 즐거운 거는 제가 이렇게 성장하는 모습을 여러분들한테 보여드릴 수 있다는 게 가장 큰 행복이지 않을까. 누군가와 저 자체를 소통하고 공유할 수 있다는 게 그런 재미로 삽니다.
Lee No, man, I feel like he's got that right mindset of a winner, right? If you can actually find the most joy in challenges and in growth, man, you're setting yourself up for success.
언제나 음악으로도 할 말이 많아요. 뭐 웃긴 얘기든 사랑 얘기든 슬픈 얘기든 뭐 힘이 되는 얘기든 계속 듣는 사람들, 특히 우리 스테이에게는 새로운 그런 이야기, 새로운 감정을 느낄 수 있게 앞으로도 계속.
Every time I watch a full video with Bang Chan, I end up really liking him. What I was saying before has nothing to do with how I feel about him as a person in terms of whether I like him or not. I think I actually kind of cheer for him the most. Like I want him to kind of find that youth in himself and that child in himself. Like, I want him to. And perhaps I'm wrong. Like, perhaps he is himself 100% of the time.
어쨌든 우리는 살아가야 하고 어쨌든 우리는 다시 일어나서 걸어가야 하니까 그러니까 앞으로도 저희는 희노애도 계속 있겠지만 저희의 락은 열심히 하겠군요. 계속 쭉 전진할 겁니다.
Han's being a little shy here. Han's still my guy. Han's always going to be my number one guy. I'm committed to Han. He's a little restricted here.
여러분들도 저희와 함께 즐기면 돼요. Just enjoy. Okay?
So that was a really cool video. I'm very glad I got to check that out. And again, it just makes me appreciate them as musicians and artists that much more, even though I haven't taken in a ton of their music. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that reaction and analysis. Right now, I'm actually going to be checking out Stray Kids' new music video that just dropped, La La La. If you want to watch my full uncut reaction and analysis to the video that we just watched, plus my reaction to Stray Kids' La 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 music video, all you need to do is go to my Patreon page. I've included the link in my description below. Other than that, I'll catch you very soon. Peace.